Dodge That Bullet Podcast. This is Adam here with my boy Finch.
What's up?
James from Quitter Rant.
Howdy.
Another lively conversation. We're going to title this one "Rest in Peace Razorback Football." So earlier in the week, what day was it? Was it Thursday?
I think it was Thursday.
Wednesday or Thursday?
Well,
Thursday.
Yeah. Southeastern Conference announced the two extra opponents each team would receive on top of their previously established 8-game conference schedule.
Right.
So, I think the two hardest hit teams, I believe, Missouri, they drew Alabama and LSU from the West.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Missouri football as well.
Right, with a brand new coach.
Yeah,
Just like us.
Aren't they still? Aren't they on probation?
They
I think so.
Probably, yeah.
I know that. Did they have? They had a bowl ban last
I get
year.
them mixed up with Ole Miss. They just finished theirs, and Missouri got theirs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's SEC. I mean, it's a
Somebody's
carousel
always
of,
on. Yeah.
Yeah. Whose turn is it to sit out this year?
Right.
Yeah. But the Razorbacks, they drew from the Eastern Division. There's really only two programs in the Eastern Division worth a flip. I know Tennessee is making. I mean, I'm serious.
He's not lying.
No, that's the state of things today in the SEC.
Tennessee's making a push recruiting wise, but they haven't done jack squat on the football
they're
field.
making progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're coming back up slowly.
But the East is not like the West.
No.
The East is a 2-horse race. It's Georgia and Florida, and guess who Arkansas drew?
And the West is an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah. Yeah, and Georgia and Florida is who Arkansas drew on their schedule.
The only two teams worth of shit out of the East.
Add that to that Western Division.
Not only worth of shit, but they're super the
good.
best teams.
Yes,
yeah.
they're top 10. They're legit top 10
They're
teams.
good.
Yeah.
We have a history with Kentucky, South Carolina, even Vanderbilt.
Yep.
It'd be nice to beat Vanderbilt. We used to think that was an easy deal, and then we didn't do it so much.
Right.
When we did play them. So why couldn't it? But I'm sorry. Keep going with what you're saying. I was about to riff a little bit on something.
Well, go ahead. But
Well,
everybody can't play Vanderbilt, but
Right.
No,
they don't like to.
We're also the new Vanderbilt.
Yes.
They talk about us the way they used to talk about Vanderbilt.
And Kentucky.
Like, man, I wish I could get Arkansas on the schedule. Yeah. That's a easy conference victory.
Yeah. Just initial thoughts on drawing those two teams.
Okay, so that's where I was going with that. I think, is it possible that it's almost like a playoff bracket where the top guys get an advantage by getting the weaker teams and added to their schedule, or vice versa, whatever, or the weaker teams you gotta you're gonna see number 1, number 2, right off the bat.
16 seed playing a 1 seed.
Yeah. I mean, if they drew it in that kind of a bracket type way, then it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Still sucks ass, but that's what we get for going 4-20 in the last couple of years.
Right. We haven't won a conference game in 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at performance, I mean, if you're basing it the schedule on performance, because that's personally what I think happened. They were like, okay, because I don't think the season's even going to be played all the way through. I
don't even think they're going to start it. Let's be upfront about that.
No,
right.
I think this whole. I don't think any of this is happening.
The 2020 season's screwed anyway. We're going to play in a conference only thing. We get these two shitty, draws to put us to 10 games, and it's not even going to happen. So
right, but if what I feel like they did, and it's pretty close to your theory. I mean, what can we do to protect our top teams in case this does get played all the way through, and see how many teams we can get into this probably going to happen if it goes all the way through 18 playoff.
That's just around. SEC, CYA. They're protecting their interests there because, you want to. You still if there's going to be an actual playoffs at the end of all this and enough teams play, then they want their top teams out there.
Right.
So.
Especially considering a couple of them do have to play each other. So
yeah,
my thoughts not necessarily against that, but
I'm not for it. I'm just looking at the logic.
No, I'm
trying to reason it out. It's still bullshit.
I agree. That's why they did what they did.
Yeah,
but then and this may even get me even more fired up because I got pissed off the other day. But
yeah, you did.
Triggered.
But it's like, you're not going to have a group of 5 team competing for a playoff spot this year because Group of Fives probably aren't even playing ball. The MAC's already, they've canceled all fall sports.
Yeah.
Conference
UConn,
USA. Didn't they cancel?
Yeah. I mean, it's basically down to if we have football at all. I hadn't heard anything from the Pac-12 or the Big 12. I mean, basically all we've heard from is, Big 10, they've set up a 10-game all-conference schedule.
Yep.
The ACC did the same thing. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame, it took a worldwide pandemic, but ladies and gentlemen, Notre Dame has joined the conference.
Has entered the chat.
It may be a 1-year deal. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the sign of the apocalypse.
Yeah,
right.
That's another reason that none of this is happening. We'll all be gone.
Yep.
That's kind of a courtship deal. We can go back to that with the Notre Dame deal.
Yeah, they've been which is, as a Big Ten guy, don't even get me started on that.
Right.
And then the SEC, they did the same, kind of followed suit with the other two, and they announced a 10-game conference-only schedule. But that's what I'm saying. If they're thinking they have to stack the deck to ensure that they get a team in the coming playoff, if we have it or not, there's not as much competition this year to get into said playoff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because all these teams, there's going to be, miraculously, if we do have a season, I bet.
It could happen.
I bet even if they have a 4-team playoff, you're probably going to see like one loss team and 3 2-loss teams. In that playoff.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back to what we touched on about the viability of the real reality of this season happening in the first place. We've talked about this before, and I think with you too. How trained are these kids going to be and conditioned? Right. I mean, they've been in quarantine too. Yeah, the good ones are going to have been working out and doing what they need to do and studying, getting ready. But they're guys, there's guys like us on those teams that are like, I'm watching TV. This whole quarantine.
Yeah, that happened a lot in spring.
And I'm going to eat a lot of pizza.
Yeah.
The most football they've been in taking was the latest season of last year.
It's all through controller. Game controller.
Madden comes out in a few weeks. Yeah.
Right. So, so I don't know. I mean, again, viability, whatever you want to call it, of the reality of this season is that you're going to have less conditioned players, more likely than not, less trained and prepared players, just by default because they haven't had the reps and the time in, and then there's the whole liability or susceptibility or whatever of whether they're going to spread this crap around, this COVID stuff, and then I read something. I think it was something you shared maybe on Twitter, Adam, that there was something I saw that was like who wants to be the the guy from the team or the conference that has to answer for why a kid got it and died.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think
that
puts the brakes on quick.
The liability thing is what's going to
the big question.
Is what's going to shut it down.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because as much money as these universities and the NCAA and all that has, you get sued by 4 or 5 parents, and a lot that money goes away pretty quick.
Right, and you mentioned too, like if you're one of these top caliber players, you're trying to play for the next level. Not only are you putting yourself at risk in danger of putting that at risk, or your chance at playing at the next level, but what if you're that kid? What if that's the kid that dies?
Right.
And then that parent's going to be like, well, you just killed, millions of dollars that potentially could have, been coming to our family.
First round pick signs for $40 million, and we're not going to see any of that.
Right. And then you got, team families that are owning chunks of the universities.
Yeah.
Or got a piece of the, the SEC money or whatever, however that shakes out. But it's definitely a legal liability. Mm-hmm. And that sounds cold to say it that way. It's a human liability too. Nobody wants to get sick or die. I'm not,
Yeah, I think if I was a top prospect, I don't think I would play.
It'd be really hard. Or if it was our
You gotta
sons.
really want
If
to
it
play.
was our sons.
If I had a kid, I'd be like, no, you ain't playing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Well, I take that back. I wouldn't want him to. I wouldn't try to influence his decision either way. But I wouldn't want him to. If he did, there would be a part of me that would be proud, just to be like, oh, he really wants to do this.
He was stepping up and working hard, but also, in reality, if it was one of our kids, they're the guys who are sitting at home eating pizza all quarantine and stuff too, and be like, nah, you don't need to do that.
You're going to get folded up.
There's going to
be a lot. Yeah,
you're going to get hurt and sick. Just
take the COVID out of the equation. Just the amount of injuries that are liable to happen. Let's say we get 6 games in this season.
Yeah.
And a total crazy COVID outbreak hadn't happened yet. You are going to see a lot of injuries. I do believe that.
I think so too, because the conditioning, all that comes into play later in the season.
Yeah.
And with kids opting out, rosters are going to be thinner.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you're going to have guys playing in here played.
Yeah. Back to high school playing both ways days.
I mentioned the Pac-12 a minute ago. Apparently, there is a student movement going on among Pac-12 athletes. # We Are United. And it's basically one of the talking points. Because we are being asked to play college sports in a pandemic, in a system without enforced health and safety standards, and without transparency about COVID cases on our teams, the risk to ourselves, our families, and our communities, # We Are United, which basically...
We ain't playing.
Right. So,
it enforces the argument: pay me, then play me.
So, and that's a very good point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of using this to further that idea that
it was already in question before the pandemic.
Yeah, that was the number one thing that was getting asked before COVID.
How about a freaking bailout for the NCAA? You know what I mean?
Hey, if you can do it for the cruise ships, Jesus.
No, I'm saying that's a good point too. But this is bailing out the NCAA because, like, 4 or 5 months ago, it was like
they were looking at having to hand over some money.
It's like, yep, they're going to have to pay these kids.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it. And now it's
this enforces that argument.
Worldwide pandemic. We didn't have season. We didn't have spring sports. We didn't have March Madness. We're not going to have football this fall. Oh, we lost all that money. Sorry, kids. We ain't got enough money to go around.
Right.
I mean, that kind of angers me a little bit just because, besides our federal government, NCAA is about the most corrupt organization in the country, really, in some ways and some lights.
Yeah.
Just the way they dance around what I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle on that deal, but I can see the good, I can see the positives and the negatives, but still the NCAA could do more than what they do besides just build bigger stadiums and put that money in their pockets, billion. And we're talking about billions and billions of dollars every year.
I have seen some tweets from pro and college players who are basically alluding to the fact that I don't know if I'm doing it this year.
Yeah. I mean,
that's going to spread.
Every day there's NFL and college players just opting out.
Yep.
I think I sent it to y'all, but I can't remember where the kid played from, but maybe he was from Virginia. But
no, I don't recall you sending anything about anybody.
Well, he's a defense. Maybe I just tweeted or maybe I texted this to y'all or whatever, but there was a defensive back that was like a top 1 or a top 2 round draft pick projected. And he's not playing. He said, I'm just going to start training for the NFL draft.
Yeah.
So.
That's a smart move. If you're a top prospect.
I would just, if anybody hears this, my buddy Lee McBride, you may want to spread the word. Those 12 guys from Alabama that get drafted in the first round every year, just go ahead and sit out.
Yeah.
You're still going to get drafted.
Yeah.
Just,
The same goes for Florida.
Don't take
Georgia,
a chance. Ohio State. Yeah, all you Buckeyes, y'all going to get drafted anyway. Just sit out, okay?
That does show, though, a difference in the mindset and the culture of this goes. It's kind of weird. These were political decisions, and it also shows how politics is influencing sports. But it shows what a great divide there is different parts of the country compared to the Midwest and the South in particular. of kids being willing and wanting to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does kind of follow political demographics in a way.
Well, football, it's kind of the new American sport, American pastime, whatever. It's kind of taken over from baseball for that. Mm-hmm. But it also happens to fall in the fall. And this fall, we have some political sports going on, too. I don't know if you guys have heard about it.
Yeah.
But everybody's on team this or that. And not only do they want to cheer for their political teams, they want to cheer for their football teams.
Right.
And we see how it's unraveling as is right now without other sports and all that stuff going on.
Yeah.
Imagine no college football, no football season,
especially in this
high school, college. Yeah. Especially in the South.
Yes.
People have already been crazy enough and aggressive enough for my liking. If we don't have football down here in a couple months, I'm afraid that the social fabric's going to come unraveling.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Well, deer season's coming too.
Well,
I mean,
there's going to be a lot of whoopsie. I thought that was a deer.
Yeah.
It was just a liberal.
Yeah, like I got shot.
It was just a Bama fan.
Yeah.
deer. No, I'm not even saying it.
Was that Tiger? Never mind.
No, we were talking about earlier. You were like, if they just try and get the season started and see how far they can go. But
right.
I even mentioned, I said, or they just try to make it to November,
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are saying, as crazy as crap is right now, we get past that first week in November, it's either going to burn the rest of the way down or everything's just going to go back to normal or whatever.
Well, that's where I'm at with it. I at least appreciate the fact that the SEC and the Big Ten are making the attempt to have a season. And then it's obviously not totally driven by a monetary gain, because ticket sales are not going to follow guidelines and to have people in for ticket sales and television revenue and all that stuff. It's all going to be down this year.
Yeah, and percentage of the overall seating and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I am encouraged to see that there is a commitment that, hey, this is like part of who we are.
Yeah.
You know, in this part of the country, in these places.
In that way, they're trying to kind of hold together the fabric that's unraveling right now with everybody. It's like this is that's how important it is.
And I am proud of these young guys that, in the face of what could possibly fold them up, even though the percentage is pretty low and most of these guys are young and strong, and I have no doubt that they could bounce back, but. Every once in a while, you get a story where somebody, like some pro soccer player overseas, was 29, 30 years old. He died.
Yeah. Really?
Allegedly from COVID.
I hadn't heard anything about that.
Well, that's the thing. You
don't follow soccer.
Take everything
either,
you hear with this stuff with a grain of salt. And
that's the original football.
Yeah. So I'm really. It's encouraging to see, guys from the America's heartland and from the South, wanting to play. The love of the game is still there, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and it might get to a point to where if you want to play college football in the future, you have to come to one of those places in the country to play.
Yeah.
Because there might not be such a thing out west, on the East Coast in the future. It's either you play in high school or you go pro, or you go down south and if you're not good enough to go pro.
Some would argue it's already like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it could become reinforced in these football states in the South where, whole families move because that's where you go to play football.
Yeah.
We're definitely in flux.
I mean, the Pac-12 hasn't really been, especially in the playoff era of college football, with the downfall of USC, hasn't been
By the way, fuck USC.
I
remember those scoreboards.
Hasn't been as relevant as it was in the past. No. The Big 12 with Oklahoma, there's still some relevance there. Big Ten's got Ohio State. As much as I hate to say it, facts are facts. The Big East is dismantled. I think they're trying to make a comeback, but they haven't been relevant, since Rich Rod was at West Virginia.
Right.
And they lost that game to Pitt. I mean, that was basically for a shot at the national championship, and they didn't,
Didn't get it done.
But basically, I mean, it's Texas, Oklahoma, the Midwest and the SEC.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Clemson, you know.
It used to be Nebraska, and Nebraska's looking to come back up, you know.
Yeah.
This is a good opportunity, all this stuff going on, for us to put up a you know, we
can't leave Clemson out of that conversation either. I mean,
Yeah.
they're the most successful program in football over the last 5 years, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Best cheaters out there.
a lot of
Sorry.
stuff's in flux.
Hey,
Sorry, not sorry.
Dabo's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
There ain't no way he could be cheating.
No.
I mean, he gave us that glowing recommendation for our last coach, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was a good one.
Yeah.
There were so many subplots to this season. You know what I mean, going in. That I want to see play out. That's why I'm really hopeful that we're going to play through this entire
I want to
season.
see us play Mississippi State. I want to see us play Ole Miss. I want to see us play Auburn.
Yeah.
There's salt and wounds.
I just
in
hope
all
there's
those
anybody
games.
left after those first 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I did
There's
have
a
a
subplot
thought.
now with the Georgia game.
they
Yeah,
open
true.
they open
Yeah.
against Alabama, don't they?
I honestly don't know.
Arkansas. I think that's the first game on the
It
schedule.
is,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's like, hey,
Yeah.
boys, we're playing ball. Y'all get the Tide first
my,
game.
My mind was on Georgia when you asked that.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know their schedule.
I know they open with Alabama and they end with Florida.
Sounds like a great,
Let's be honest,
great
though.
season.
Alabama got protected, okay?
For sure.
They got protected. They are
still the SEC dynasty,
They're added
though.
opponents. Let's
LSU's
go
on the
back
come
to
up.
let's go back to the added opponents thing, because where I'm at with it, Adam, and I know that kind of makes you mad, but we haven't won a game in 2 years in the conference.
Right.
This is kind of where we're at. It's like you get what you get. Don't throw a fit. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So we're gonna have to play our way, recruit our way, scratch and claw our way back into this thing. You know.
But it's also, if you want to be glasses half full, it's an opportunity to say, hey, look at these, they're fighting like a bunch of wild Razorbacks.
Right.
And then kids are like, hey, that's the team I want to play for. We already got the coach that everybody wants to play for.
right.
So
That's what now that if you want to just let's put all the stuff about the SEC out the window and stuff. That's what bothered me about this the most, because you've got a new coach at a new program that's making some noise recruiting.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
bringing in some talent.
Yes.
And a lot of people said the same thing about Chad Morris. Who cares? Pittman's doing, but
It's different.
and he already
Pittman wasn't a math teacher.
Yeah.
Morris did bring in some talent, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there's some receivers on campus right now that are
Legit NFL.
legit SEC guys, athletes, and
You feel like
but. Well, I started to go off on a rant about how Bielema quit recruiting like 7 years ago, but
When Pittman left.
we'll save that for later. Yeah, but basically, you've got a young team trying to rebuild, and then the conference just walks in here and kicks you right in the teeth.
you're not wrong.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The conference should look out for Vanderbilt the same way they do Alabama, instead of just stacking the deck and using
They
its
don't.
own members
Yeah.
as freaking cannon fodder for contenders, for perceived contenders.
If we can't have non-con quote unquote cupcakes, they have to make it out of the lesser teams in the league.
What if Alabama? What
Great
if
point.
I just made a honest plea to these kids from Alabama. Hey, sit out and go pro for your own safety, for the love of God. What if they have 6 guys say, "No, we're going to train for the NFL," and then the first 2 games of the season or something, they have 3 more guys get hurt. That's what kept Alabama out of the playoff last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Tunga Vailoa.
Turns out they don't
Got
just have
hurt.
six deep on every,
Right.
every position.
Instead of winning us another national championship, they just beat the crap out of Michigan in a bowl game.
Right.
But
I know that was a happy time for you.
that was expected. I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so you've stacked the deck for this team, because you're like, oh, Saban's going to get them back. Saban's going to be there again. You don't know what Alabama week 1 could look a lot different than Alabama week 3. And then you've just totally screwed over Arkansas and whoever else in Missouri or whoever, whatever.
Yeah.
For what? You know what I mean?
Well, you're not wrong. like what you're seeing is the Democratic National Convention, treatment of Alabama and LSU. You know what I mean?
Mark the time.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens.
So Arkansas is Bernie Sanders, is what you're saying.
Basically.
Yeah.
I don't even know what he's Bernie. I think he's probably somebody that never had a chance, but was talking and making a lot of good sense, kind of like Tulsi Gabbard or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If
Let
you had to use an
me
analogy.
let me correct myself.
Yang.
Yeah.
Let me correct myself on an earlier statement. Alabama and Arkansas played week 3.
Week 3. Okay.
For some reason, I thought they had played Alabama.
That's early enough.
Well, when you look at the schedule period now, it's all.
No, we have Mississippi State first, actually.
Yes.
We have Mike Leach first thing. That was
crazy?
Going back to the fall. That was our guy we had predicted, and then he didn't go anywhere, and then he went somewhere.
That's who I wanted. I predicted Sam Pittman, which I just threw.
You did actually predict Pittman.
I threw some stuff against the wall and it stuck.
Yeah.
I thought that honestly the players making the effort they did for Sam Pittman. I thought that probably carried a lot of weight and it turned out.
I think that was an important move, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes this stuff does work out.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit about the players and their questioning of their own personal liability and risk and everything. What about these coaches, these brand new coaches? We got all these first year coaches, some proven, some unproven, so, a lot of rebuilding that has to go on. And then you get those rebuilding teams scheduled against the top teams, whatever. We're talking about all these things, but what about these coaches? I mean, what happens season or not? What does that do for a coach that's trying to rebuild a program, year one? This is a year one for a lot of coaches.
I think it helps them. I think all the chaos helps the first year guys, because
sometimes first year guys, they kind of sneak one in on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I love those games.
Yeah.
Like Petrino and beating LSU the first year.
Yeah. Or
usually happens towards the end of the season too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, if it's kind of a veteran team, a lot of juniors and seniors that's kind of underachieved.
Yeah.
And then they bring in a new coach.
Well, that's
he
just
puts
about
the
time
right system
wheels
in
get
place,
fully going,
and takes advantage of the talent he's got there, where the guy before him didn't do that.
I'm talking about the chaos of the COVID-19 and everything. Like I think that benefits these first year guys. I think that that's something you sell. If you're up there when you're training, you're selling. You're like, hey, the playing field's going to be more level than y'all think it is.
Yeah.
Like some of these guys, they got a future in the NFL. And they've got all these things going through their mind. They're not focused. They're not as focused as they should be, and that's a fact.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys have gone into protection mode.
How many of these guys are going to play 2 games and then somebody that's a projected first round pick comes up positive?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm out too.
That's gonna be a domino.
By the way, is that
or somebody on the team that may not even be that good, but you're a first round pick? It's like, hey, I'm not going back in there till I know it's safe.
Right.
Is this going to be the new the 2020 coaching, the trendy coaching war cry for the locker room? Is go out there and hit them like they're trying to give you COVID?
Yeah, I mean maybe
these guys are trying to infect you.
Go out there and hit them like they're not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Well, going back to that, some of the protective stuff that I've seen going on out here, like some LSU player tweeted they had this full on face guard.
Yeah. You remember they used to wear the face shields at one point?
Yeah.
The full clear things.
Did they have the windshield wipers on them?
They needed to, because they said they couldn't even breathe in it. That was like trying
just
to breathe
fogging up.
Of a Ziploc bag.
It's like
that was affecting their sight.
Yeah. Do a 50-yard bear crawl with that PPE on.
Right.
That ain't doing nothing. Okay. Anyway.
That's football. Yeah. Y'all, football.
All right. So...
one more thing I wanted to say about that is, so I don't know. I think coaches and players, both with their concerns, I think there should be assurances. This should be almost like a free play season. Like when somebody jumps the snap and it's a free play. I think eligibility. I think coaching assurances as far as their job security. I think this season's a wash on all that. This is just a free play season, and I really think that's the way the league, NCAA, whatever, it all needs every team that plays needs to be like, this is a freebie.
If
That's a good point.
If a kid wants a medical waiver for this year, all he needs to write in there is COVID.
Right.
That's right.
And you get another year.
Yeah.
That's it.
You
and
know?
it should be allowed.
Yeah.
I really think so.
Well, that's what's going to
I-
happen. That's what's
I'm-
going to have
I'm
to
with
happen if you get 3 games in and there's all these outbreaks and then they have to call the season. You're going to have to give everybody a red shirt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And there's going to be coaches out there. You know how fans are. Oh, fire his ass,
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if somebody goes 6-4 this year, it's
full-
like
we got
you
all
try to
those
win
fans.
6 games under these conditions,
Right.
Right.
But
Yeah, I didn't mean to step on your point.
you're good.
I wanted to get that out while it was relevant. And I forgot.
Is there anything else kind of we haven't stepped all over as far as just like how COVID is going to affect this upcoming season if we even have one?
Only other thing I guess would be game day settings.
That's going to be weird.
It's going to be different.
Yeah.
You're going to because this has separated people into 2 camps. You have people that are wearing masks, people that you ain't going to tell me to wear a mask, people that, you know what I mean? It's going to be weird. The fact is that only so many people are going to be able to attend the games to follow guidelines, which isn't going to affect us as much where we're at as a football program. That's the first thing I thought.
It's going to look like the last 4 years here.
It's like it's leveling the playing field for us on that deal, as Hunter Yurchek was saying. If they follow guidelines, they're only going to be able to get like 25,000 people up there. So it's going to look a lot different. They're going to have to get their stuff together on some packages or whatever as far as like watching the games pretty quick. That's the only other thing I can think of to add.
The only thing the best way it affects me is what viewing package am I going to subscribe to for the fall,
right?
So I can see this stuff. I'm
probably going to.
I saw where
snip.
Ohio State, the only definite number I've seen, and there's probably been other people make announcements, but Ohio State said they're capping their attendance at 20,000 people. And I don't know if that's 20,000 in the stadium or 20,000 in the stands or whatever.
Oh.
That's probably
in
20,000 in the stands. They probably will not allow any tailgating.
No, yeah, I've seen other people say they're no tailgating.
No.
Razorback Stadium will announce 20 as 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our numbers guys are going to be like, I don't know what to do. We've always had to fudge this before.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I want to get into.
Now we got the obvious stuff out of the way.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So let's pretend we're actually going to have a season.
Do it.
Yeah, we're going to have to try hard here, but man, if this doesn't show you where Arkansas sits on the pecking order, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It shows me that Arkansas is not the SEC doesn't care.
No.
And I said this 2 or 3 years ago when they took the LSU game away from Arkansas the day after Thanksgiving because they wanted to create a manufactured rivalry between LSU and Texas A&M.
And create one between us and Missouri.
Yeah. And it's like,
that was reactionary. We lost our deal that we'd been building with LSU, so it was like, who can we get?
Yeah.
Right.
Missouri's close.
And Arkansas they've always kind of taken a little bit of crap because they don't have like that one true rival. Like for us, it was always Texas.
Yeah.
Right.
But for Texas, it was always Oklahoma.
Right.
And then, we play Arkansas too. Not saying Texas didn't like beating Arkansas, but
the LSU thing was building. I felt like it was building pretty well.
you can go back and even when Arkansas sucks, who did Bielema break the SEC losing record streak against? LSU.
That game got to where it meant something to both sides.
It was actually Ole Miss, but he shut out both Ole Miss and LSU.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was back to back. Yeah.
He did it 2 seasons in
the
a row,
LSU
too.
game was the big one because they were,
They were a better
Good.
team.
Yeah. Is that what got Les Miles fired?
I think it had something to do
I think
with
that was definitely there was already talk.
And that was the year he pulled the Arkansas stuff, and everybody was all been out of shape over that. Like he eats grass. What do you expect?
Right. He was doing a decent job at Kansas though.
But
his Kansas, not our Kansas.
I mean
his Kansas.
I mean just how do y'all feel about that?
the disrespect, we've been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
I'm of two minds on that. It's definitely there. There's no question. You've seen it, and there's been enough shady calls in big games over the years. You know, phantom whistles and all kinds of stuff. There's
even before that. What year was it that they called that late hit on Tony Bua?
Oh, that was 2002. But
I was at that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, finish your thought. Sorry.
Oh no, I just
immediately
so there's definitely there's definitely some disrespect there. We're still treated like the new kid or the stepchild or whatever. We came in 92, 93, whatever it was, and almost in some ways, even since we've had newer teams come in like Missouri and A&M, it seems like they get treated better than us. I'm like, what's that about? Right. If this is the pecking order, we've got seniority now.
Right.
So, but there's also the other mind says, if you want respect, you got to go earn it.
Right.
And we hadn't done shit to earn it in almost 10 years.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from the Texas Bowl championship of the world back when Bielema was actually, 7-5 or whatever he was.
Took his borderline erotic knee.
Right.
Got that contract extension.
That's right. I mean, that's our last true claim to a modicum of success.
Right.
And shortly before that, all we had to worry about was Alabama and LSU. But I digress.
Right. Well, I mean. Yeah, what he said, only, it's easy to forget that when we were brought into the league back in, was it 91 or 92?
92, maybe.
It was a weird transition. But when we were brought back into the league, we were brought back in. We had a solid football program. But that's not really why I think the SEC wanted us. I think we were recruited because we were a basketball powerhouse.
Yeah.
They were looking to balance the scales with Kentucky.
Yeah. Basketball was hot.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was really high. It was a totally different time.
College basketball was
arguably as popular as college football.
I was fixing to say college basketball in the 90s was probably bigger than college football.
It was before the rules got changed, before the one and done and all the then the two and all the experimenting they did with the eligibility. Arkansas, we were in the conversation every year. The national championship conversation.
We were a Sweet 16 shoe-in basically every year for 6 to 8 years.
Right.
Yeah.
If we didn't do that, then we were in the Final Four or Elite Eight or something.
So it was a profitable commodity as a basketball school.
Yeah.
And bonus, we were pretty competitive in that Southwestern Conference too in football. So it's a no-brainer from that way. But just the treatment since has not been super great.
It definitely changed a lot when Nolan exited the program. Mm-hmm. Because that was what we were there for. Pretty to me, that's what it translated to me was once Nolan left and that we weren't a basketball powerhouse anymore. The prestige level got knocked down a bunch.
The Stan Heath was a bad hire.
It was a bad hire.
Yeah.
No, and there were two candidates left: Stan Heath, John Beilein. John Beilein went to West Virginia, ended up at Michigan, took Michigan to 2 national championship games.
Yeah.
Broyles took Stan Heath. And
one could argue the reasoning there.
Right.
But I think we all know.
Yeah.
It was more he not to take anything away from what he did as an assistant up there, and that was a great program, but there was definitely some PR stuff involved there.
Yeah.
So since that time, we have had some good years as football, but I think what a lot of people don't realize, and I've traveled a lot for work in the past few years, I mean, how we're looked at by the blue bloods in the league is not what a lot of people think. They don't consider us. We're irrelevant.
Yeah, and I totally get both your points about we haven't done anything to earn it.
Yeah.
But I kind of go back to the conference isn't set up to play favorites. The conference shouldn't be set up to, and no conference should be. Let me be clear about that. The Big Ten should not be set up to pander to Michigan and Ohio State. The Big 12, and this would be my biggest concern if Arkansas was to go to the Big 12 like
Oklahoma,
people are
Texas.
calling for.
Yeah.
The Big 12 obviously panders to Oklahoma and Texas. That's why Nebraska left and went to the Big 10.
Yep.
And Colorado went to the Pac-12 or whatever. But if you're a member of the conference, you should have just as much of you should feel like that conference backs you just as much as they do. If you're Arkansas or Vanderbilt,
You should feel like you're a valued member.
I totally
you
agree.
should feel the same value that Alabama and Florida feel.
I totally agree, and that's where I say that
And Kentucky.
the lack of respect, we haven't gotten that. We haven't earned it, but we also haven't gotten it. Like just by default, just by being a member of the SEC, and our fans do the thing that irritates you. We all chant SEC. We're all conference proud and all that stuff. It's a major conference to be in, and we're proud of the presence. But at the same time, it's like behind the scenes, it's like they don't really want us here,
Right.
or they don't treat us like they do.
Yeah.
Well, that's just what I imagine. I imagine the meeting was like, okay, if this season plays all the way through, what can we do to make sure to protect Georgia, Florida,
You're 100% correct.
Alabama, and LSU, and maybe Auburn, as much as we can.
I think push comes to shove, if somebody pushed for an answer on that, it would be more of like, well, we did it similar to a playoff seeding method, where the stronger. And of course they'd have to be going off of last year's rankings and whatever, but we're just basically doing a seeding.
Yeah.
So that calls into question. I mentioned this to you before we started recording, Finch, but that calls into question the leadership up on the Hill.
That's been a question for a while.
Do you think would this have happened if Frank Broyles would have been Arkansas AD?
No.
There ain't no way. And if people talk about, look at all that SEC money you get, you know what Frank Broyles would have said? He'd have flipped him the finger and he'd said, I declare, sir, I'll raise my own money.
Yeah.
And he would have done it.
Full foghorn leghorn. Yeah.
Yes. And I will go to the Big 12 and I'll raise my own dollars. Thank you very much.
It's a more natural fit. We played those teams. I mean, it's kind of old Southwest Conference already.
Yeah,
so.
I'm kind of for it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you.
I think, people were calling for this 5-6 years ago, whatever.
Well, and we've talked about it before. I made a comment about, we had some success under Petrino before it kind of started going downhill. And during those years, it was kind of like, we felt pretty confident in most games aside from Alabama and LSU,
right.
and you just wanted to compete and have a chance to win in those.
And they did.
And they did. Put us in the Big 12. We're kind of back in that situation. I mean, we're not going to worry too much about, Kansas State or, some of these other schools. We've played them and we've beat them, in bowl games not our best years, So we're going to be more competitive immediately in that league.
I agree. But to me also,
and our recruiting pipeline happens to be opening in that direction right now, which is massive.
Yes. How important is Texas? You want to play one game a year in Texas, or you want to play 4?
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Where'd Felix Jones come from?
We got 2 head coaches on staff right now from Oklahoma that are pulling in kids out of Oklahoma that are surprising people.
Yeah,
right.
But it's like to me, it goes beyond. We'd win more games than Big 12. To me now. After the LSU deal, taking away the game the day after Thanksgiving, and after this, it's kind of like, you know what? In the Big 12, Oklahoma and Texas are probably still going to run the show.
Yeah.
But you're going to be more valued in the Big 12 than you are in the SEC.
It's a more competitive in that recruiting ground too.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're not good about going to the coast and pulling kids.
No.
And basketball wise, the Big 12. Outside of Kentucky and Florida, I mean, Florida's still they're a good basketball program. They were great for a few years under Donovan, but I think top to bottom, the Big 12 is probably a better
More
conference.
The SEC is definitely down, and I think that
they're better now than they were.
Right, but they've had some down years, and I think that's a direct reflection on us and our value to the SEC.
That's true.
It goes back to that.
Yeah.
I think
it's kind of like Michigan football in the Big 10.
I think the big dynasties in the SEC are actually hurting the conference too.
Yeah, have been for a while.
Yeah, when there's not as much competition in the league, it's not as it's like, oh, well, it's just going to be Alabama or LSU again.
Yeah.
Right.
Or Auburn might have a jump up year if they've paid enough players.
Right. This league, everything they do revolves around Alabama and LSU and Georgia and Florida right now.
Yeah. Even Auburn.
And
we've mentioned Auburn a few times. They're kind of still on the outside looking in. When
Tennessee
they do
too.
break through, it's like, you're really not supposed to be here. I mean,
right.
we're glad you're here. We'll take the check, but
Right.
but this would, we'll have to ask Saban about that.
You weren't supposed to pay Cam Newton that money and win that year.
That's right.
That's right. Well, and they do see it as in the way that we do. It's like when we do have a successful season, it's considered a jump up season. Well, you're punching up. You're not doing what you would normally do. So it's not like you're a great team or a great program. It's just you had a good year. Whereas they're like, but we expect Florida, Georgia, Alabama, LSU to always have a good year every season. Right. So it's not that they're punching down ever. They're not. It's just that they're good, and everybody else just has to try to punch up.
Or those years like when Arkansas beat Auburn and maybe LSU and finishes second or third in the West.
Right.
It's not because Arkansas had a great year, or you don't want to give credit to Arkansas, but Auburn was down, LSU was down, Alabama was on probation.
Our SEC West champion of the world was when Alabama was on probation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they would have won it that year.
Yeah.
They had been.
James always said back then, it's like we backed our way into this SEC West championship. I mean, that's just what we did.
Then again, if Reggie Fish fields a freaking punt,
that year
that was
different.
legitimate. Yeah,
they win it.
We were good that year.
That was a legitimate good year.
Yeah.
Sorry, Reggie.
I mean, the other years were good too, but that one was true contender year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the closest.
That still hurts.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was a damn good. I mean, that was a
good
one
game.
of Florida's legendary teams.
Yeah.
So
and you had them on the ropes.
There's no shame there in losing to those guys like that.
No.
I think we've proven that
That's
we have
why
in
you
the
play the game.
past
Yeah.
competed at times.
Yeah.
In a what have you done for me lately world, Arkansas is just not that attractive of a conference member right now, and
we would be
they're
more
just
attractive.
pouring salt in the wound. They're just adding insult to injury at this point, and now we have to. As a university, as the flagship university of this small state, it's time to look at what you do bring to the table and shop yourself.
Yeah. And
the same thing that made us marketable that we talked about in the SEC in the beginning would make us marketable in the Big 12.
Yes.
I've seen people like Danny West. He's one of the few Razorback people that I enjoy following because he's.
The reaction from the talking heads has been surprising to me. They're talking about things that me and you've been talking about for a while now.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is not just sour grapes, guys. I mean, me and James were having this conversation back in the Petrino years.
Yeah.
Okay. Like we felt like the general attitude around the conference is the same thing with the year's Auburn wins. It's like you guys ain't supposed to be doing this.
Yeah. Or like when Missouri won the East.
Yeah.
Which I'm just going.
That's another thing. The alignment's all jacked up. Okay.
That's another good point.
Why is Missouri in the East? Why is Auburn in the West?
I want to get this off my
just
chest.
Flip those two, and that would take a thorn out of my paw right there.
Yeah.
So,
well, then you're messing with the Alabama-Auburn dynamic.
Exactly.
well, they
they
can still be a
That's
static.
right.
They can be a static scheduled. They can keep their iron.
I know
bowl.
they still have that.
But that right there shows you exactly who the conference is for.
Yes.
Once again.
Let's talk about Georgia.
Okay.
Georgia.
What's Georgia done?
Well,
Besides, they've recruited a ton of talent, and
Thanks, Sam Pittman.
yeah.
they've recruited. Let's hope, man.
It's going to take a hit.
Let's hope Pittman is the recruiter
He
that
is.
everybody.
The
I mean, he's
talk-
proven to be, but
The talk is that they're missing him.
yeah. But Georgia recruited a ton of talent. They've dominated the East in a period when Florida wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Tennessee wasn't very good. Still isn't very
Tennessee
good.
was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They were Arkansas bad.
Now they've made some good showings against Alabama and places like that. They still ain't won nothing. Have they won a conference championship?
Not really, no.
They made that national championship game again they played Alabama, right?
Yeah.
What happened there?
They lost.
You know, Kirby Smart's supposed to be this great coach. That fake punt he called was the last 10 or 15 years, it's top 5 dumbest coaching calls I've ever seen, you know.
Well, Rick had some dumb calls at Georgia, notoriously, and early on too, and he was there a long time.
Yeah.
Did he ever really get it done? No.
I think Kirby Smart right now, and I could be wrong. He could reel off 4 or 5 straight. Who knows? I don't think he's much better. He's Mark Richt with a just bigger hype.
Yeah.
You know, he's Mark Richt in an easier division with more hype built in.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody acts like Georgia's a top 5 team every year. Oh, Georgia, Georgia this, Georgia that. And
they are one of the traditional programs.
Win something.
They're
you know what I mean?
They're a plug and play program. I mean, any coach that goes there, you got Coach Marblemouth down at LSU. I'm not saying he's not he's a great assistant, and everybody's always said that, but he did jack squat at Ole Miss.
It's going to be interesting to see what he does without that offensive coordinator this year.
Traditional powerhouse. Yeah. And some of those teams just are. That's just
Texas.
they have built-in recruiting. Like it's not as much of a fight for them.
Right.
And so you walk into a loaded gun, you're probably going to win the gunfight if the other guy's still putting his in the chamber.
It's the same thing with Florida. The expectations are always going to be there with Georgia and Florida. The expectations are there with Tennessee, but they haven't delivered in so freaking long. But they did it to themselves because you took a legendary coach and you showed him the exit, you know.
It's been 20 years since Tennessee was really.
Yeah.
I mean, besides hiring Lane Kiffin, what have they done in the last 20 years to really make them nationally relevant?
Nothing.
You know.
Well, and that gave them the wrong kind of relevance they were looking.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of like Petrino's motorcycle wreck did for us.
Right.
Yeah.
See, that goes back to they're probably over there saying that's the kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that happens to Arkansas, not Tennessee. You know?
Yeah.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah.
Kentucky and red helmets.
Mm-hmm. We're not even that anymore.
No.
That's what you used to call us. You said that over and over and over again until I finally accepted it, and then now we're the garbage tier team in the West. You know.
Yeah. Kentucky beat us with a wide receiver playing quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, thanks, Chad Morris.
Yeah, the Chad Morris era was the saddest of my life.
It's the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think it could get lower than.
Is it worse? I guess it's just prolonged despair. You know, because I mean,
train wreck in slow motion.
You know, Jack Crow lost to Citadel, and Broyles the elevator couldn't get down to the field fast enough. You know,
right.
for him to fire the guy. So that kind of nipped that
have
in the
we
bud.
had in the last 8 years, though?
Yeah,
and with every staff.
And I mean that's got more and more common across college football. Just Power 5 schools losing to people they shouldn't lose to.
Right.
You know, and we all know where that started, and we're just going to stop, just stop. But
hey, we lost to the Citadel long before that.
Yeah, but I mean it's become a more common occurrence.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, it's. My interest level in college football the last 2 years has been probably about as low as it's been since I was a kid.
Right.
And that's because Harbaugh can't beat Ohio State.
Right.
And Arkansas is just awful.
Yeah.
You know? And, I mean, I still sit here and watch football all day on Saturdays, but it's just not what it used to be.
I'll pay attention this season just because I'll be happy that we're having games.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your expectations?
Yeah, that was where I was about to say.
If
we're talking about this season, if it happens, what are our real predictions here? What does the season look like? I'm going to tell you. I said it in the text.
Do we go 3 years in a row without an SEC win?
I don't know.
No, I'm talking about just the actual. We've already said we don't think the season's going to happen, but if it does, how many games does it go? I told you guys the other day. I think 2.
I think one game at a time.
I think there's a number. I think there's a number that each school knows. Like, okay, if we can get this many games in, we can stay, keep from going completely down the sewers. You know what I mean?
Right.
As far financially.
Right.
So is it 2 games? Is it 3 games? I don't know.
That went back to what you said about TV deals and stuff.
Yeah. Mhm.
You know they're talking to ESPN and CBS and whoever, and they're saying, hey, how many games do we have to field to get a check?
Yeah.
Right.
Because you look what's happening in baseball right now. It's basically...
I haven't been looking. I hope you've been looking for us. Because I have not been looking at baseball or basketball.
Yeah, I haven't been watching any basketball, but the baseball deal, I just noticed, like scrolling through Twitter, like a series will get canceled because of positive COVID cases, but that doesn't mean they're shutting down the whole league.
Right.
They'll shut down the Cardinals versus, I think it was the Tigers or whoever. I'm not sure, but they shut down a whole series, but they didn't shut the whole league down.
Yeah.
So what happens if
Arkansas is the only team that doesn't have COVID cases? They're just like beating up on
SEC
people.
champions?
Sorry, boys. Mississippi State had to forfeit.
Yeah.
1-0.
September 19th.
That's right.
First win.
That's right.
It's gonna be fun.
we were talking about schedules earlier. I don't think they've announced schedules with the new conference opponents built into them yet. So what we were saying earlier is probably inaccurate.
Yeah.
And you can apply that to everything else we've said on here. So,
inaccuracy is our game.
yes.
But September 19th, we got Mississippi State.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've shut down the air raid before. We can do it again. That was back in the 90s, but we can do it again.
We talked about,
Down in Stark Vegas.
we did talk about just the new coaches coming in and stuff. But you're right. Teams are not going to be prepared the way they normally are.
No, there's no way.
Because you look at LSU dealt with it, Clemson dealt with it. I know Michigan State had to shut down workouts. Rutgers did. Who needs to work out more than Rutgers? Nobody. But it's like
That's some pizza eating son of a bitches right up there. I can't even get it out.
you work out for 2 weeks and then you have a COVID outbreak,
Yeah.
and then you're shut down for a month or 2 weeks or 10 days or whatever. So it's like, how do you, the consistency just won't be there probably for anybody.
Yeah.
Mississippi State would be more prepared. They got 5 plays. Leach runs like 5 plays.
That's true. The playbook's easy.
4 verts.
Yeah.
Seriously, they say he runs the same 5 plays over and over and over again.
Really?
Yeah.
You would think
He plays it like I played on PlayStation.
He runs 5 plays over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's up to you to stop it. If it works, it works.
Right.
Well, you run up the middle, you run outside.
Throw outs, throw deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
That's how he does it.
Yeah, if they stack the line on 3rd and short, you might throw a short curl.
That's why I've always liked him. I'm like, oh, okay. His genius is like, we're just going to keep it as simple as possible.
Simplicity. Yeah.
I want, and what he does is he gets a handful of like guys with speed, and like he doesn't want his guys thinking about where they have to be and all this crazy stuff.
Do you want to go to the Cheesecake Factory where they got a freaking Sears catalog full of food that you can choose from and you don't know what's good, or do you want to go to the place that has 5 things and all of them are badass?
You can go to Waffle House because they got pictures of their food on their 5 options.
That's false advertising. Never turns out.
Yeah.
There's always puke on the plate. I don't know.
Ugh.
But
he's the Chick-fil-A of offenses, though.
Yes.
I mean,
he's almost the David's Burgers of offenses.
Yeah, that'd probably be more accurate. Yeah.
5 guys. Whatever. No,
a number 1 is a single. A number 2 is a double.
Yeah.
back to the players being ready though. How many do you guys really think are out there doing the Rocky IV training montage on their own in the woods, fucking hauling logs and
we're gonna see it.
And running in the sand or snow or whatever.
We miss you, Peyton Hillis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how many linemen came in just like way overweight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The Catfish Hole's been shut down, so that's or it was.
Yeah, but what's the food delivery service? Everybody,
DoorDash or
DoorDash. Yeah, they know the DoorDash dude like really, really well.
Yeah, that scholarship per diem, whatever.
I just always pictured the one kid that always gained weight.
Yeah,
kind of like Booty Collins. Whenever he went back home, he always came back overweight.
Yeah,
he'd have to play his way back into shape.
Yeah.
You know?
Kind of like Oliver Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Shaq.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah.
Players like that don't have the
sitting home,
self-discipline
eating
to
mama's
do
cooking.
the Rocky montage.
Yeah.
That's going to show up pretty quick because they're going to get folded up.
Did y'all see where Darius Geis, I mean, this is kind of veering off a little bit, just got released?
No.
Yeah, domestic violence accusations. Redskins, Washington football team, my bad.
The W.
Yeah. They
Segura calls them the Washington R words.
They didn't waste apparently it's pretty bad because they didn't waste no time. They just cut that fool loose.
Yeah.
Wow. No,
I didn't know that one.
I mean, anything else just
I
on
want predictions.
predictions?
Let's imagine.
Start
right
with how many games.
Y'all-
Pretend. Let's play pretend, and we could play the whole season.
Okay.
What's our record look like?
Let's go game by game.
All right. September 19th.
You're going to have to
Arkansas-
talk me into saying they're going to win any of them.
Yeah, well,
I mean-
same here. But this is going
I'm
to be
going
such a
to tell you the
topsy-turvy
ones I
season.
want them to win.
This
Yeah.
is going to be.
That's
I'm
what
telling
makes
you,
it interesting.
if this season gets played all the way, it's not going to look how we think it's going to look.
Let's
No.
let's go through the listed schedule and then we'll just end it with Georgia, Florida.
This season won't look like what we thought of in December after we had our new coach and things were starting to take shape. We're like, oh, okay, what does that look like? Well, it's not gonna
Right.
be that. Whatever we were thinking then, it's not gonna be that.
Yeah, they ain't even got they don't even have it updated online.
No, they haven't. I don't think they've announced it yet.
So we'll just throw the last two on the end.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just
September 19th. Arkansas plays Mississippi State at Stark Vegas.
Cowbells be ringing.
That's an
There'll
L.
be like two of them. Yeah, I think so.
Just because it's always an L in Stark Vegas.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. I did read something about whatever practices they are having that our D's really kind of taking a shine in practice right now.
Defensive line, especially.
Yeah.
I've read that.
Yeah.
So that might bode well against those 5 plays. I don't know.
That was a squad that showed a lot of improvement, even under Chad Morris.
Yeah.
You know.
Defensive line in the receiver group.
Yeah.
I mean, and he handcuffed that receiver group by not. I've never seen anybody handle a quarterback situation worse than what Morris did.
Every time we say that name, it makes me think of the dancing video. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Club Dub.
No.
Some hogs stepping into Club Dub this year, y'all.
No,
Club Dub was bad enough, but there was
no,
another
it's the one
video
where he was dancing in his living room.
in his living room.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was not.
Thanks for reminding me of that previously blocked memory.
You're welcome. I like to dredge up the good shit.
Yes.
All right.
Do you want to talk about that creepy uncle I had? Let's go ahead and dig that back up while we're at it.
Oh, I thought that was me.
Here's an interesting one. September 26th, Arkansas at Texas A&M. Is this the first year we're playing down there instead of at?
Well, they did.
At?
It was supposed to be at Jerry's World, but they did announce it'll be in.
Home and home.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Okay.
It'll be at Kyle Field or whatever.
I'm gonna have to say that we're probably gonna lose.
And we've
that
played
game.
down there once since that series started.
Yeah.
It wasn't always at AT&T.
I think Texas A&M is ranked. I think
They've quickly become one of my most hated foes since they came into the SEC and since we started that series.
Kind of
I think people are expecting. We're expecting this to be the. I'm going to talk like we're going to have a season. People are expecting this to be the year Jimbo
A&M
takes a
does
step forward,
Yeah.
and they're top 3 team in the West.
It's either that or it's the year they realized they made a $75 million mistake.
Right.
I think they had the number. Did they not have the number 1 recruiting class in the country last year?
Don't know.
It was
They
one of the better
were.
ones. This is like they felt like this was going to be their big come up year.
Yeah, I don't know if he's got a quarterback. If that same kid that played quarterback for him last year is back, but.
Well, here's my prediction on that. If this is A&M's come up year, if the season plays out and they end up doing the damn thing this season, that will signal the end for some of the longer term West coaches. That's what I think. I don't know. Gus is gonna. He's sitting on a lit fuse every season,
Man.
and he's got that guy
Yeah.
working for him.
Yeah, and that's not. if that offense struggles, people are going to say, listen, Morris sucked at Arkansas.
Yeah, why would
what are
you
you
do
bringing
that?
that guy in for?
His offense has been criticized every single year for the last several years, even when he's running it. Why would you bring that guy?
They're friends.
I get it, and
He needs a
he's part of the
scapegoat.
one who sold it to us. But, definitely needs a scapegoat.
So we're 0-2.
But
Yeah.
you're also the guy that hired him, so.
Texas A&M on the road. They're on the upswing. That's an L.
All right.
This is not getting any better.
October 10th.
Week 3 is the good one.
Week 3.
Alabama comes to the Hill.
Week 4.
That's probably, lost. I feel pretty confident.
yeah.
What if that's our first forfeit W?
I'm going to go out on a limb.
Oh, wait. Okay. What if they have to forfeit?
Can we just call it an F? Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. October 17th, LSU at Arkansas.
Not going to go well for us.
Not looking good.
No.
What? Let's talk about LSU though. They lose Joe Brady.
Yeah.
Who was
they
offense?
lost? They lost Aranda, didn't they? Or did they?
Yes, he went to. He's a head
Clemson,
coach
probably?
somewhere.
No.
No, he's. I think.
I do think he left though.
Where'd Brady go again?
Was it
Pros?
Cincinnati or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that his name? Joe Brady.
Joe Brady.
Joe Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the offensive coordinator? He's the dude that turned. He should get the ring for.
Yeah.
I'll give Orgeron credit.
Yeah.
You know. But that offensive coordinator is the guy that turned that program around.
Orgeron's a motivator. He's a homeboy there. He loves that team.
He's Houston Nutt that
He's
let
Houston
somebody
Nutt.
else run his offense.
Yes, that's exactly what would have happened at Arkansas.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Yep.
But whoever the coordinator was, good gosh, I can't believe I
blanked on those
he's
names.
offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers now.
Right.
Yeah.
But they, I mean, just
Under the guy from Baylor, right? Didn't he take that job?
Yes.
Yeah.
but Matt Rule.
Yeah.
But he's gone.
Yeah.
And all
There's
that
going to be some
talent.
drop off.
Oh yeah, you would think so.
Absolutely will be. And then that's when everybody will be like, in a what have you done for me lately world, his job, I would anticipate he's going to be on the hot seat before the season's over. We're still pretending.
If this is a full season, yeah. We're still pretending this happens.
I'd have to say, though, that even though they're going to be in a transition period, that's going to be a loss.
5?
Tennessee at Arkansas.
Tennessee at Arkansas on Halloween.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Bring the pumpkin to Arkansas
I
on
do too.
Halloween. Well,
Yeah.
he's not there anymore, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I like it. They've been coming up, but they're also still fragile enough that if we're going to do something, and if the new system that our new coaching staff is putting in takes,
Yeah.
and we really do have the players that we think we might have
Right.
that were just never used,
Yeah.
that might be the one.
I think so, too.
I'm not buying any Tennessee stock for two reasons. Number one, Clay Travis is a douchebag. Number two, Jeremy Pruitt was like their fourth choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's lighting the whole coaching world on fire. Like nobody else wanted the guy. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, he had a rough start last season and looked like it might be the end of his little Cinderella.
Yeah,
up.
Then they start out like 0-3 or something, and then he turned things around. But
turned things around for a lower
and
tier bowl.
I think they lost to a.
Yeah.
Didn't they lose to a Sunbelt team or something like that, or they lost a game or two
Harding,
they shouldn't have lost?
I can't remember who it was.
Middle Tennessee,
I know they
Ozark
played just
University.
good enough for him to keep his job.
Yes.
Because he looked in serious freaking trouble.
And you've talked about teams spending money. All of a sudden, they're one of the top 2 or 3 recruiting teams in the country.
Well,
what does that tell you?
yeah, we kind of we came up that way too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Ixnay une.
We didn't get caught though. We didn't make it that obvious.
Not yet.
No, we haven't. Not yet.
I mean, even Frank had guys with anyway.
So you're saying W?
I think that's the first chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm saying it
Same here.
is, but I think it's the first chance.
Same here.
Yeah.
Let's make it 3 for 3. Suck it, Clay Travis.
Yeah. All right.
That would be a good one. I mean, I love beating any of
We're going
any of these
into
teams.
November. It's November 7th. Every major city in America is on fire at this point.
Yes.
The COVID numbers are spiking for some odd reason.
World War Z is on.
But Auburn and Arkansas are still going to play. Arkansas makes the trip down to Auburn.
If we could only win one game this season, it would be that one. Just because of Gus and the other guy. For me personally, that's the one.
If you could pick one.
If I could pick one where we just Fred Tally their asses.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be the thing.
Do you hate Gus?
I don't think it's going to happen, though.
I didn't start off that way, but after a couple of flirtations, and selling us the other guy, Chad L. Yeah, I do now.
I used to
His
be...
own church hates him now.
Yes,
here in
I used to be
Arkansas.
on the Gus bus.
Yeah.
I was on the Gus bus. And Rick Schaefer, at least he came out and ate crow on it and apologized. But, he's part of that group that's at the church up there that
We're telling everybody.
he was telling everybody that Gus was coming. I mean, so he made everybody believe he was coming, and then he didn't.
I've not listened to Rick Schaefer in years.
Right.
That's a personal achievement of mine I'm proud of.
Well, I don't really.
But for
listen
him
to
to come out after that and say something negative about Gus,
Yeah.
told me that he had told everybody there
Yeah.
that he was coming.
Yep. He said it. He said that. He said, "I've heard it from, church and family members that they are coming."
Right.
And they didn't. And don't think for a second that there wasn't a hard push for him this go around too.
Didn't he get a 7-year deal out of that?
He did.
Yeah.
Money talks.
Well,
BS
yeah.
walks.
Auburn didn't care to waste money. Just like
So
A&M.
after that, I'm a hater. After that deal,
Well,
and I would love it.
Finch was a Gus guy.
Yeah.
Big time.
And I haven't, honestly, you're right, because I wasn't taking that into account because, I mean, there's so much history there between the Springdale stuff and then the Houston Nut stuff. And even after he left for Tulsa, kind of on his own accord, the fan base was so split then
Yes.
that you could say, well, I can't blame him for leaving.
You were either a nut hugger
Yeah.
or you were on the Gus bus.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Those
I always
are the
liked
games
Gus.
we like to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you just said it yourself. If he had given up the control of the offense to Gus that year, there's no telling what would have happened.
Fully. That was
Yeah.
our first 10-win season under Nut.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you would have actually seen
for him to come back,
Damian Williams wouldn't have left.
Yeah.
Ben Cleveland would have probably been a productive player for the Razorbacks. Who knows what Mitch Mustaine would have turned into? I mean, he didn't turn
he was
into anything
undefeated.
anywhere else, but dude had his issues,
he's undefeated.
First pass was a touchdown against Alabama. That's not too shabby.
Yeah.
That's also
true.
the last time we beat Alabama.
Yeah.
All right, Auburn W.
No, lost.
If I'll take
What's your
that.
heart tell you?
I'll take that and a winning Powerball ticket, and my life is complete.
It's an L.
Yeah.
It's
November 14th. Everything has gotten back to normal.
Right. Yeah.
No, that ain't gonna happen. No.
Everybody's crawling out of the scorched earth and eating cockroaches, and the next game is
This is post-election.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
So
No matter who wins on that day, the other side is gonna lose their minds.
it's either going to be sunny blue skies or it's going to be Portland, Oregon, one or the other.
It's gonna be it's
at
gonna be
11
one or the
p.m.
other. Yeah.
right.
The COVID has disappeared
Yep.
mysteriously.
Is that in Fayetteville? Yeah,
it's in Fayetteville.
COVID's gone. They've announced they're extending the schedule from 10 games to 12.
That's right.
And instead of a 14 playoff, we're going to have an 18 playoff. 'Cause
Asa will be in the press box.
Arkansas's won one game.
I'm taking a W here.
I am too.
What's the team?
Ole Miss,
Ole Miss.
at Arkansas, November 14th.
That one would be awesome too. Just because I never was on the Lane train.
Me neither. Lane Kiffin comes to town.
I was.
There's already whispers.
I was
of-
against that I hated that talk when it started.
There's already whispers that Lane, by this time, the leaves are in full peak. Fall colors up at Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Don't think he hasn't impregnated a co-ed by now.
Right.
I mean, there has been a quarantine.
Yeah.
So
it's jokes, people. Don't try to sue me. I don't have shit.
Lane's extramarital affairs have come to light already.
Yeah.
I'm looking at there's a reason that dude ended up living on a houseboat.
Yeah.
I think by that time, Lane Kiffin has set himself in a blaze in a cocaine fueled bender like Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
You ever heard of Jeff Lebby? Lebby?
Nah.
All right, that's apparently Lane Kiffin's offensive coordinator.
Okay.
That's one. People wanted Kiffin. We got Pittman, but you look at him bringing in Browse to run the offense,
Right.
and then Odom
Strong.
Odom to run the defense. I mean, that dude's built a good staff.
Yes.
Strong.
He's doing. I'm about to get it. It almost happened.
Do it.
That's what pisses me off, man. He's doing everything right, and the conference just steps in and is just, swift, like on Jackass, where the punter took turns kicking guys in the balls.
Yeah.
That's what they just did to the Razorbacks.
Yeah.
That's where I was going earlier too with the whole. I think these first year coaches. I was speaking as a fan, a homer. Our guys, we have such a good staff that we got to hold that together, no matter what happens this season. And we come out and have in a year or two and have a good season, regardless of any health concerns or pandemics. It's going to be all we can do to hold that together anyway. But at least give us a freaking chance. Jeez.
I will say this: taking everything that's happened around the country the last few years, if you're at Fayetteville, Arkansas, and you're looking around at the rest of the country, you're probably thinking, "I'm staying here."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah. Like, hey, this is a pretty good place to be.
Jeff Lebby, for the last 2 years, has been offensive coordinator at UCF, Central Florida. They had the number 5 scoring offense in FBS in 2019. His defensive co-coordinators are Chris Partridge, who was a position coach at Michigan, is an excellent recruiter, and DJ Durkin, who
was the Partridge that Bielema had? Didn't he have one?
Yeah.
Chris. This dude's pretty young.
Okay, so it
It wasn't him. But DJ Durkin, besides trying to kill his players at Maryland, he was a legit coordinator for Florida and for Michigan until he took the Maryland head coaching job.
The Dirk.
So, that's a pretty decent little staff.
He
but
went Rick Barrett on them and tried to kill them all.
Yeah.
I was just curious who.
They're free and clear from their suspend all their sanctions and stuff, right?
Are they?
Ole Miss, are they? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that was the talk with the Matt Luke guy. They were like, "Oh, this is his first year for free and clear to from any hindrances," and then they fired him. But anyway,
Cut bait.
I suspect that they're back on the lane train is the pay train probably.
Yeah. So we got 2 possible wins so far: Tennessee and Ole Miss.
By the way, when I accuse other teams of paying, I'm not.
Yeah,
we're not innocent. I
if
promise
you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, that's right. Rubbing is racing. All those cliches.
we just ain't got.
If you ain't first, you're last.
That's right. I want to go fast.
Arkansas at Missouri on November 28th.
That's a W.
That's a W. We got their guy, and their guy is a disciple of some of our guys.
Right.
So,
and we've got. I just think Arkansas's got more young talent.
Yeah.
And if they don't get killed by playing this freaking LSU, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Alabama juggernaut, if they make it to that Missouri game, then
If Franks didn't contract COVID.
Plus, Missouri, they're either facing probation or
I want to talk about him too.
Who?
Franks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. That might be a little feather in our cap against Florida.
Yeah.
He knows him.
But is he going to be the starter?
That's what it looks like right now.
Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't be.
He's 6'6".
Yeah,
But yeah, that I would be severely disappointed. We're going to get to see the season play out before this Missouri game. But if they lost that game, that would disappoint me.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Barry Odom single-handedly coached that game. Only staff member out there, and they'll win that game.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
they thought. I remember at the end of that Arkansas-Missouri game last year, Barry Odom and them, like, they were happy. They thought that they had secured their jobs. And then Missouri came back and went ahead and fired them. So
Yep.
if we got a chance in any game and we haven't won Tennessee and Ole Miss, then the Missouri game, if we don't get it there, I don't know where it's going to happen.
Do you think after that game they came back and they's like, but we beat Arkansas?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
For sure. And then he came here. He's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So where we're
He
at,
probably doesn't. No matter who he's coaching,
6 right now.
Yeah, no matter what he's coaching, he always says to the players, "There's one game we're going to win. I guarantee you."
Yes.
yeah.
If he's worth his salt, that's been drilled in their heads already.
But Georgia's saying the same thing now that we've gotten to those games.
Sure.
Which one's home and which one's away? Is Georgia at
I don't
home?
even know.
I think
They haven't
it's.
announced
I don't
that.
think it matters in either of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't. Georgia, I mean, they're the deck stacked against us with them anyway. Them with incentive, that's a wash on that
Bad
one.
deal.
But it's also the reverse for us in Missouri, I think.
You know, I'm kind of looking at this now. I'm not going back on anything I've said. The SEC still screwed Arkansas and doesn't care about them.
Yep.
We should go to the Big 12. Screw y'all. But Pittman against Georgia is that's an interesting storyline.
Yeah.
Odom against Missouri.
Yeah.
If Felipe Franks, if we can protect the guy and he gets coached up in Brow's system to be a productive quarterback,
Do you think
him playing
him and Browse
against Florida
won't want to light Florida up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a pretty interesting storyline.
Yeah.
They still got screwed, but they gave Arkansas 2 games that kind of have a little intrigue.
Right.
If there's anybody left alive by the time they roll around.
That's a third perspective to look at this scheduling. Whether you want to talk about whether we've earned the respect or whether we got disrespected. There's also storylines, and that's if they're going to broadcast this stuff, they're going to want to make it interesting.
Hell yeah, man.
So
There's so many, and it's not just those 2 games with Arkansas, and it's not just Arkansas. There's so many subplots going around this league. This had the chance of being the most intriguing year we've had in a long time, probably ever.
The league's very incestuous right now with all these storylines too. So there's a lot of screw that guy. He was just here.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see which one of these games is.
I don't think that they penciled them in on any dates yet.
Well,
I really don't.
I do. I'm almost sure.
There's probably open spaces in those dates, and that's where they're going to go.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure.
Wouldn't it make more sense to tag them on at the end of the year?
What is the last scheduled game right now?
For us, it's November 28th, Missouri.
Missouri.
So we'd be getting into December to play those 2.
Yeah, but
We're starting late too.
We're starting late.
And you're
You hadn't
only
had-
playing 10 games instead of 12 too.
Yeah. There's some open dates in there too to schedule them in, but
I thought I saw somewhere that
would
Florida
push an
would be the
SEC
last game of the
championship back
season.
to end of December almost.
right.
Yeah, so there won't be. I
So
mean,
then you got playoffs to figure out.
well, you're not going to have as many bowl games
True.
Right.
because you don't have all these mid-tier schools even playing ball.
That's true.
Right.
You know,
Does that mean we're guaranteed a bowl game? If we go 2-8, can we still get in a bowl?
finish? Yeah, new mandate this year. Finish the season, you go to a bowl game.
I like it.
Well, the thing is that's kind of what I was getting at. If we play if at this point we've played a full season, they're going to have a legit playoff.
Yeah.
There's going to be like a
'Cause it's gonna
18
be
or 16 possibly team freaking playoff.
It's going to be power conference playoff.
Yeah.
Even let's say the Pac-12 doesn't play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? SEC, ACC, Big 12,
10,
Big
12.
10,
Yeah.
Let's figure it out.
4 conference champs play.
Yeah.
I think that'd be freaking awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that's a
You
good
know,
scenario.
everybody's going to be upset. Oh, so and so
We're
got
still
left
pretending
out.
here, but that's a good that's a good
that's what's so
storyline.
great about March Madness is it's not just the tournament.
Yeah.
It's that 2 weeks of tournaments where, hey, you win and you're in. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
Or
You know,
possible 8-team.
I know there's difference between basketball and football, but, you know.
That's crazy talk, but, you know. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Or 8-team deal where it's a play-in. Two teams from each conference, you know.
So what we've basically, I think we're kind of in agreement here, but we're looking at a 3-7 season.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see
third one?
Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Missouri.
At this point, I'd be happy with 1 or 2 wins.
Yes,
Get your first.
but
Yeah, get that first SEC win. That's all you got to get this season.
But you know, if you're competitive against Ole Miss and you lose by 6 points,
Right.
You know, or you know, if it's a one score, any of these teams, if it's a one score game in the fourth quarter, and something bad happens and you lose by 10, whatever.
That's the good news about this season. This is kind of I don't know if this is a skewed way to look at it, but if we go 1-9 this season, it's an SEC victory, which we haven't gotten in previous 2 years.
Yeah,
So those 4 games we won in the last 2 years don't hold water to a conference victory.
The last conference victory I can remember us having is Ole Miss. Brett Bielema's last year.
Yeah.
the Hunter Heave.
No, that was after that.
It was a day game at Oxford,
Yeah.
and we won.
They weren't very good.
No, they weren't very good, but we were terrible.
That's the one that got
That's
Freeze
it. We're
fired.
almost there, year.
Is that the Freeze was out, or is that Luke's first year, or what? Or is there somebody in between?
I
there?
can't
don't
remember
I think
anything
it was
about
Luke's first year.
Hugh Freeze
Let me just
before
say,
he was
fuck Ole
waving
Miss.
from
I hate
that.
Ole Miss.
I can't remember anything about Hugh Freeze before he was in that window waving from the hospital bed. It's like he was one of those kids at Iowa, you know?
And Wally Hall wanted us to hire that guy. He's in a wheelchair, but he'll be a good one.
Yeah.
No, Wally, you're trying to you're
The
grasping at
Americans
straws.
with Disabilities Act mandates that we need to give this guy an interview.
I'm one of them. Put me up there. I'll fucking tell them what to do.
Wally was pushing for Hugh Freeze, and that was
He was.
weird.
I didn't
And
like
he's
it.
Mr. Integrity, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Integrity.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Integrity.
He's a changed man. That integrity. Fuck all that.
And we see what's going on at Liberty now with all that
we got 8
craziness.
years integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going.
I don't even.
Man, like.
Don't even. That'll trigger me.
Yeah, I've got a good friend that says I can't never blame a man for getting caught up with a woman because they're undefeated. You know, when it comes down to that, they're undefeated.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, man, if you're going to rebuild your reputation tying it to the Falwells,
Right.
what the hell are you thinking?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, even Christian folks are like, them guys are idiots. That one dude couldn't even zip his pants up.
On the other hand, you got to give him credit for leaning into it. If you're gonna play the act, you might as well fucking be method about it.
Right.
Yeah.
did.
He was like, I'm broke. I had to give my ex-wife all my money. Jerry Falwell's like, hey, buddy, come
Did they
on
get
over.
divorced over that?
My real dad's
I don't
coaching
know.
in Missouri in a directional school right now, so
Yeah.
everybody's got to do something sometime. Isn't he at Southwest Missouri?
Something like
Missouri
that.
State, whatever.
Yeah. Petrino.
Yeah, he's...
I always try to imagine Han Solo's his dad. Mine's Bobby
Right.
Petrino.
Right.
What happened at Western Kentucky?
He went back to Louisville.
Oh, that's
And
right.
then Louisville had their scandal.
Yep.
After he won due to Heisman.
Yep.
Well, the
Missouri State.
Yeah.
The
He had a
Bears.
bad year.
He's in
He had a
Springfield.
bad year
So
after
he's right back up next.
after there was a regime change at Louisville. After his buddy got fired.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
With Rick Pitino
Yep.
in that scandal. Then Bobby was he knew he was on a short leash.
Man, that guy's a douchebag, but that was a good run.
Yeah.
That was just fun. I mean, that was like...
That was the best 4 years. I mean, I like it better than Houston's 10, and Houston did good stuff here. I was mad at him. We are talking about Petrino's 4 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my favorite stretch.
It's a good era.
I don't know.
care. I don't care about coaches being like, when people talk about Mike Ditka or what's another notoriously Tom Coughlin.
You want to talk about
Name a tough coach.
Parcells.
Parcells.
Nick
Belichick.
Saban?
Belichick. I don't care.
We're
Nick
all,
Saban.
Yeah, Saban. We're railing off NFL guys here, but just it stops and ends with Saban.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all these meanies are getting canceled out here for everything else. You want to talk about insulated?
Yeah.
Protecting a fucking franchise.
Yeah.
That guy could be canceled 9 ways from Sunday, but he ain't going to be.
He's got more first-round picks on that team than anybody else. You think any of them guys are going to step up and say, no, I'm not doing it?
Not for a second. He'll leave when he wants to leave.
Yeah, he's a
Unless-
5'8" guy that has a.
Unless he's got a Sandusky on staff that he's not sharing, then he'll leave when he wants to leave.
Right.
Which might be soon, with all this, screwed up season.
What was better, though? That you just brought up a really good question. What was better, the Petrino run or the Matt Jones, D-Mac?
I like Petrino just because of the wins.
Yeah.
But as far as
And
entertainment value,
the style of the wins.
yeah.
Nut went from the Matt Jones era. There was a little bit of overlap there, like maybe 1 year.
Those were the 2 cloud years that he.
Yeah.
But then it transitioned straight from Matt Jones to D-Mac, Felix, Peyton Hillis.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
For me, those years with with McFadden, Felix Jones, and
Those were the best
Peyton
nut
Hillis.
years. No,
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. I think the Matt Jones years were the best nut years, but that's me. I know those guys are the Holy Trinity, but entertainment and excitement wise, I like the Matt Jones years.
Yeah.
They were doing more with less.
The all-star running backfield is overshadowed to me by the drama.
I think Darren McFadden is the most overlooked player in college football history.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they gave it Heisman to Troy Smith, but McFadden was easily the best player in the country.
Yeah.
And people don't remember.
He was the year Tebow won it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it would have been even better if Houston had done what Orgeron did and just let his staff do what they needed to do. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give a nod to the Houston era just because I just like listening to Houston Nutt name off his players. Sasha Lancaster.
Now we've said this.
Sean Andrews.
I was very much anti-nut towards the end there. Actually,
Marcus Monk.
for half of his term. But you hear him talk now, I'm like, I'll take that guy back right now.
Absolutely.
Right now.
Those are fun
Before
times.
we got Pittman, we were like, come on back.
And he said himself, he would like to go up there and be some sort of
Quality control or
honorary
something.
Frank job like Frank was doing, fundraiser and then just cheerleader. He has said himself he would love to do that.
Dude,
and we need that in a worst way.
I apologize for interrupting you, but I called into question leadership on the Hill just a few minutes ago. They need something like that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, I'm a Michigan fan, everybody knows that, but they were always looking for that Michigan man,
Right.
And there were people getting tired of that. Like, hey, we're limited in our options here.
Enter wrench rod.
But yeah,
That's where it went off the rails.
well, no, Brady Hoax when it went off the rails, but but man, Arkansas needs something like that.
Yeah.
They tried to go out and just spend money because they got more money than they know what to do with because of Waltons and the Tysons and Stevens and whoever. But it's like, you start railing off them names. It's like, do we need SEC money? No. Could you offset the Big 12 money and the SEC money to that effect?
You could.
You know
Just
what I mean?
Depends on what they want to
Well,
do.
we need right now. The thing is, the SEC's been on the up with the whole ESPN tie-in, and we need that airtime. We need that national attention. That's what we need out of the SEC right now. And they, it's like they despise giving it to us. They resent giving us that exposure.
Right.
But we need it. That's one thing I think would be lacking in the Big 12. I don't know that we would get the same amount of exposure.
And that's the Big 12 has dropped the ball.
Yes.
Because Texas wasn't interested in doing a Big 12 network.
No,
they were
wanted
interested in doing a
Texas
Longhorn network.
Yeah.
And that screwed the whole conference.
Yep.
And they don't care because they're just cashing checks. You know,
They're not cashing SEC checks though.
No, they're not.
And that's the advantage to staying in the SEC.
Yeah, money wise, it's SEC and it's Big 10, and then it's everybody else.
Yep.
Because, like I said, Texas screwed the Pac-12, or Texas screwed the Big 12. The Pac-12 tried to start their own network, but they got put in some stupid regional thing to where you can't even get it at a lot of places. You know, so the Pac-12, I think that's kind of what's led that, and their commissioner is just the worst commissioner in college sports. But that's basically led to them falling to irrelevancy, you know. And then, you know, the ACC, they just, outside of Clemson,
right,
they suck.
Yeah, well, they did at Florida State.
But yeah.
And it's a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah, Florida State, they've, especially Jimbo got out at the right time, apparently.
Yeah.
So.
I'm stuck on the whole nut calling out the players' names thing. Can you imagine the staff that we just talked about how much we like this staff right now, and it doesn't. He would make the least player sound like he was saying Peyton Hillis, you know, or Darren McFadden.
He knew their names.
He knew every one of their names, and he would say it with the same emphasis as he would say the stars. And make them feel that way.
I think Pittman has that, though.
Pittman has it, but can you imagine? Okay, so we already said we like the trifecta we've got up there, head coach, offensive, defensive coordinators. Can you imagine with head cheerleader up there running around saying their names and then Sam Pittman going, yes, sir?
That was the one thing.
They might bring him in. They're using the old the Nut era jerseys now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's easily the best-looking Razorback jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Petrino, he knew.
That was the only thing about the Petrino era I didn't like. Was the Walmart pants that we had.
Didn't like the uniforms. They
Is that when they broke out? No, Bielema broke out
they-
the anthracite, didn't he?
They may have had them. I think they did have them during Petrino, but Petrino era was the ones where they tried to put the tusks, turn the white stripes into tusks, and the red stripes. And that
it's like a good idea, but it's always been executed poorly.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, that's the old, you know, double hog shoulders on Barry Lunny back in the day.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out.
Petrino knew Mallett's name and he knew the receivers' names, and everybody else
quarterbacks
was
and his receivers.
Numbers.
Everybody else was like, well, if 54 had made that sack instead
I like
of,
that
you know,
too, though.
Yeah, yeah, I do. You're all terrible.
Who was that? That guy from Louisville? He said, boy, there ain't a racist bone in Petrino's body because that son of a bitch hates everybody.
Right.
I love it.
It's fair.
Yeah.
It is fair. Every player that played for him here said he was the hardest person to work for.
Yeah.
Because you're going to work.
You're going to do
There's
it right.
value in that. There's that leadership style. I mean, when everybody is combined in their hatred for you, you can get some stuff done.
But that brings up a whole other can of worms in the state of, you know, coaching and players and stuff today. It seems like they're more apt to quit on coaches nowadays. And
I think that's what happened.
whether you're
they've laxed transfer rules too.
With the transfer portal and whatever, it's player centric instead of team centric.
Yes.
Right.
And so now, you know, whether you're a player's coach, whether you're a hard ass, it doesn't matter. If they want to quit on you, your career's screwed. They did it to Nutt and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
That's kind of when this whole phase started that I could, you know, really tell. Mm-hmm. And it's happened to a lot of coaches since at lots of schools.
And with the player likeness rules now,
No,
schools are going to start catering to individuals as we can build your brand.
right. Yeah.
So
Well,
that's not getting any better.
No, that's it. When you can't take a team sport and turn it into an individual thing. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I watched The Last Dance. I saw what everybody else saw. That guy didn't do it by himself. And he'll be the first to tell you.
Look at the Patriots. I mean, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback that ever played. But
You're going to watch a lot of Tampa Bay this year, right?
yeah.
You got Gronk.
But I think Gronk's done.
Nah,
I mean,
I never did think he was all that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but
But I'm an old Broncos guy, and if you're not Shannon Sharp, you ain't shit to me.
yeah.
So.
That's tight ends go.
But I'm just saying, like, Brady was the ultimate team guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even like the reported
Those guys
rift
are always
between him and Belichick, he was still team guy.
Well, that's why the
Those are the
Patriots
guys
have been
that
so.
win.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are the teams that win. Belichick was building teams,
Yeah.
not individuals.
probably not the most fun people to be around.
No.
Tom Brady and Michael Jordan are probably not buddies with a whole lot of people.
Right.
And that's fine.
That's what wins.
Yeah.
Neither is Bobby Petrino.
That was the whole thing. People
Love that guy.
But Trino's probably, he's a whole new, to end up at Missouri State, he's a whole new level of just butthole. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be something there that it's just like, I don't care how much we win, you just go away.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
No, I think that's it for me. I got to go here in a minute.
Got to
Anyway.
get around.
Yeah.
I got a grandbaby.
Even if we
waiting.
just win one, man, it's an improvement. So
3-7, we're calling it.
I think that's max. But I stick by if we win one, it's a conference victory.
That's an optimistic outlook.
yeah, three wins is optimistic. I think probably what happens is we win one game
okay. Last prediction.
if it happens. If we play the full season,
What's the one game? Most realistically,
Missouri.
Yeah.
by then everybody's kind of
Yeah.
If the season goes that long, they've had a chance to, gel a little bit.
Is the Ole Miss game at Arkansas?
Ole Miss game is, what do we say?
It doesn't matter. They're going to be empty stadiums anyway.
Right.
It
The home field
it doesn't
advantage,
matter.
There's a lot of X factors going into this year.
Yeah.
And let me just say one last fuck Oxford.
Yeah. He had a bad experience over there.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Razorback
never go
fans
back.
that hate Wisconsin because of that bowl game, that Capital One bowl. A handful,
Apparently, this last trip last year to Oxford was terrible. Like the cops came up and poured out everybody's beer and stuff.
Yeah.
Even the
Yeah.
radio station, the Buzz.
Yeah, I remember
Acre went on
Acre throwing a fit about that.
for about a month. He
Yeah.
would not. He every time it crossed his mind, he would go on a rant about it.
It's
tell them they were all a
bullshit.
joke.
Yeah, it's bullshit down there.
So, quick recap. The SEC hates Arkansas.
Yeah.
Screw the league. Who cares? Don't be chanting them letters. You can if you want. If you do, you're an idiot. And we're going to beat Missouri.
Yeah,
We're gonna beat Missouri.
I think so.
All right.
What do you got?
Nothing. I'm with y'all.
I wish you had a football version
me
of
the
your
wrap
of your outro there.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I've totally backed away from. I'm fixing to get off social media again
Yeah.
altogether, just because seeing all those conspiracy theories going around out there, it's like, what the hell? It's a weird world when I'm like, pump the brakes, people. You know what I mean? Like,
Y'all are crazy.
yeah, you gotta look a little crazy. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to come up with one with the current way we're getting treated in the Southeastern Conference.
I'll say it. Greg Sankey, you can eat corn, maggot. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Dodge That Bullet podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcast. Just search for dtbpod or Dodge That Bullet podcast. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at dtbpod. We also have a new YouTube channel up. Just search for dtbpod or Dodge That Bullet podcast. And finally, if you want to check out our website, it is dtbpod@podbean.com. And if you want to send us an email for any reason, it is dtbpod@gmail.com. Once again, thank y'all so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Love you.